You, Ali. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be back and thank you for joining this webinar today. As always, we begin by invoking grace of Lord of Ayurveda, Lord Dhanvantari, and begin our session. Om Shri Dhanvantaraye Namaha. May the words that flow through this mouth be in accordance with Shastra and science. Hello, everyone. Today we are on a very delicate topic, a topic which concerns many, and there's a rising numbers that we see day by day. So it brings to this question, is it avoidable? Why is there a rise? So we are going to see these points through. Why does it happen? What could be the probable causes? What are the symptoms? Because each child is different, and there is no common symptom that everybody is going to face the same thing. There are different ways this particular condition is expressed. So we'll first see what is this condition actually, and in the end, we will see what Ayurveda has got to offer on this. Okay, so without much delay, let me just begin sharing my short presentation. There are innumerable cases, innumerable kids. And by grace of God, I could say that I got to see few of them. And why I say grace of God, because some kind of advices that Ayurveda um, suggests are quite effective. And I've seen children coming out of it. So the thing is, does the child have to live with this condition forever? Is the pressing point. So it depends upon how is the severity of the condition, which is spotted early. Early interventions can reverse it completely. In children, we see living normally. Yes, I have seen this. So what is actually this? Let's go into it step by step. So what is autism? We have to understand that it is a condition related to the brain development. And because of that, how this child sees the world or how this child interacts with others is going to be little different from what we normally do. Therefore, it is seen as a social problem because the communication is little different or impaired. Many times we will see repetitive actions or some patterns that these children behave. Then why it's called now as a autism spectrum? Because it refers to wide range of symptoms. The severity is different. And I think it's just late as 2013, I guess. So around there, the four conditions are clubbed together: the autism, the Asperger syndrome, the childhood disintegrative disorder, and unspecified form of pervasive developmental disorder. All these conditions are clubbed together, and hence it's called as under spectrum. So we all know, we have all seen also, and that's why probably we are in this seminar tonight to see what we or what our child can get a solution, or how is it handled in the Ayurvedic way. Nevertheless, I've tried to bring all the symptoms on this slide. All may not have all the symptoms. Some kids may have it at a varied intensity as well. So the first thing is that ability, that social ability, that communication, that behavior, that's little different is first it is spotted out. There is a reduced eye contact, or if you call out the child's name, the response will not be the same as other child would. And whether it's a pain or a pleasure, what's happening around on the road or what, there is some kind of indifference. The responses are very low. Mm, the speech may not be so clear, or sometimes it's even delayed. And the normal, like as a baby is born and we see at a certain age, certain things are done. So those milestones are uh, not so very um, appropriately coming at that particular age. So there's some kind of a delay that is seen. Mm, some kids are oversensitive to sounds, like if they have a sibling and the sibling is like a baby and the baby is crying, probably the elder one who is under the spectrum might not like that sound. It could be parents also talking, or maybe whatever. They are very sensitive with their ears. Some kids should, not all, but they should. And some kids, they don't respond to the same way what other child would respond for a game or a toy. So there is a little difference in that. Many times what happens, it can come later. That up to 6 months or something, the child you felt completely normal. And then later has stopped smiling or something, or some kind of repetitive behaviors. Maybe, the fingers are moving in certain way, the hand gestures, or the neck or the eye movements are sometimes, some kind of gestures, some behavior would be repetitive. And they definitely are very sensitive to touch. They normally, children would like that, you hug them, you cuddle them, but on the spectrum, these children are different. And sometimes they can be completely silent, and sometimes some kids, they show complete tantrum. Or some kids, they just can't stay quiet. They're all over the house, bringing down everything. So they can be also very disruptive. They can go into any of these categories. So, for a normal child, you can probably scold by, widening your eyes or something. For these children, whatever you do, your gestures, your expressions, they matter least for these children. Many times it's beyond this. It's sometimes even beyond brain, I say. And the connection which I have seen is the digestive system. And there can be a systemic inflammation, but the gastrointestinal issues are very predominant. That gut microbia, we, excuse me. Okay, I'll take the questions. Yes, you can keep typing, but I'll answer. Yeah, we will see those questions also, that what age autism, and I see coming to it. So there could be immune related issues. There would be anxiety. There could be some kind of depression. Sleep disturbances would be there, or any other comorbid medical condition would be there. Some intellectual disability, and definitely attention span is not the same as other kids. They are a little different for sure. Go ahead. But when we read all these symptoms, we feel, oh, this child is good for nothing. No, they have their own strengths. Some some are very remarkable. Like some of the kids, they learn things in very detail, and they remember all the information, and they don't forget things very easily. Their memory is quite strong. So some kids do have such kind of strengths, and some kids, like for us, probably it's a reading or something, but for them, visually something is shown or something they are allowed to listen to. They learn better that way. And that's their way of learning the thing. So that's also a very welcome way of learning. Like we are making a child learn in a particular pattern. This child learns brilliantly, and some definitely excel in math and science, music or art. So there are kids who have their own strengths. A particular angle is not developed in the way we want, but they have their own strengths, I must say. Causes, causes definitely the genetic or the environmental cause. We can definitely say pinpoint on that. But this gene thing is a very, very crucial aspect, and we should keep an eye on this because this is what the modern science says. And as I began, that may my words be with accordance with Shastra and science. The science says this, and the Shastra is what is the meaning of Shastra? Shastra is something which is ancient, which is very traditional, and the words written in the Shastra cannot be proven wrong anytime in the past, present, or future. So they are at all the three times true. That is a Shastra, where you cannot go into and repair or distort something and write again something. Like in science, what happens? It's developing. And with these conditions coming, every time there is something new information we get about it. So there is a work. Today, this thesis is presented. Today, this study is presented. And tomorrow, something more revelations would come. So it's always a work in progress. But a Shastra, whatever one has to know, it's all there in the Shastra. And Ayurveda is one such Shastra. It is a Sharira Shastra, means the Shastra related to body. So in Ayurveda, there is not a statement that can be proven wrong anytime. It survived 1,000 years, 5,000 years, and 5,000 I'm just saying as a number. It could be, we call it as Anadi. It means which has no beginning. It is Ananta. That means it will have no end. And through all the spans, it's going to stay alive. And through all the spans, none of the statements can be minused or added. It will always be true. What would change is our understanding. So if I may or may not answer all your questions, I may not have. It doesn't mean Ayurveda doesn't have. It means my knowledge could be only so much, and there is so much depth. It's like a vast ocean, and it's not just one book that you read and you finish. There are various aspects, various rishis have put into it. Uh, all of you must have heard of Charaka, Shushruta, Vagbhata, but there are many more than that. And uh, it's not a one lifetime. You have read everything about Ayurveda. It doesn't happen that way because everything is beautifully put in a poetic way. The language used is Sanskrit, and you really have to unfold those cryptic words. You think you can understand on the superficial way with the word to word meaning, but between the lines, there is something to read. And you need a teacher, a guru to show that knowledge to you. So when I come to this causes, and this is purely on the modern aspect, the genetic and the environmental causes, this is something very close to Shastra. In the modern, they say there is a certain mutation that happens in the gene. Now, this mutation is influenced by so many other factors, which we are going to see in the coming slides. But keep this in mind. The modern is saying about this. And the thing is, there is certain change in the DNA pattern, and that is because of there's some error in which how the cell is going to divide. So keep this in mind, and this is passed on to the offspring. Keep this also in mind. Okay. The model also suggests that whatever we are doing, ingest, taking in, it has effect on our genes. Now here, I'll go to one Shastra, which is not Ayurveda, um, which is on the philosophical side, I can say, with the ancient Indian philosophical side, where in this particular Samhita, it says what you take is not just by mouth. It is what you take by all the sense organs, the art, eyes, ears, nose, everything. So now this particular statement of modern, everything we ingest has effect on our genes. I'll expand it to everything that we take, not just through the mouth, but just all through our experiences, through all our sense organs. Our sense organs are the ones which are the reason for our connect with the external world. If we didn't have these sense organs, we cannot connect to the world. So we are taking the information from the outside world through our sense organs. That means we're consuming that information. So ingest is not just the food. I would like to use the extended philosophical view, and it's called as Chandogya Upanishad, those who want to reference, but let's keep the names aside, but take this expanded vision that what you take through your eyes, your nose, your ears, the sense organs, it's affecting the genes. It has got a very deep impact. When we'll go forward, we will see how it is impacting. And it also says that not just the good habits, the bad habits also are affecting our genes. And if we're ingesting God only knows what all through which all sense organs, what all we are doing, there is a slow change that we are doing on our genes. We are responsible for that mutation. Hmm? And also, the research now says the emotional factor can also have some epigenetic changes. I'll explain this term epigenetic changes. So, what happens in an epigenetic changes? The DNA doesn't get mutated. So, what happens is how that DNA would express will change. So, the why we have certain eye color or why we have behave certain way, it's there in the genes, we will say very easily. That is something in the hereditary we acquire, that we would say. But with our bad habits, we may not change the DNA, but we can change how it's, so it may not express correctly. It might give the weird things. So when at the initial statement, when I had said that can you come out of this condition or you have to live all life along with this, it depends upon what is affected. So probably the way if it is expressing, it's at that level, if we are able to catch that before the gene mutates completely, probably we can reverse this completely. And I have a reason for this, which we'll see. So now let's come to this particular question. How this then epigenetics is vital for this cell development? Why it is? So this mechanism of this whole epigenetics, it on that we depend upon how our body development is going to happen, how it is going to get maintained. And any change in this process, it will have effect on health and also in the behavioral problems. So all the evidences that they show that our lifestyle factors and our environment are influencing this epigenetic. Now you see where we are heading to. This is Ayurveda, the oldest science, 5,000 years ago, has constantly stressed on one point, that we have to live in accordance and law with the nature. But man being super intelligent, he thinks nature is plants, animals, other things, but he can do what he wants. So all by evening, the birds might come to their nest, but the man can keep on working till midnight. Probably will have different kinds of ships, and particularly in this part of the world. From Singapore, the connect is probably to US or to Europe, and then you work in those time zones, living in this. So see how we change our age. But we have to see the modern aspect, how the lifestyle factor, and we have to mix the Ayurveda principles into it and see it into that light. We'll just go ahead. So what would be the factors that would contribute the autism? Of course, a weaker immune system, the gut microbe is not so very good. Again, say gut, the poor diet, the diet is coming main factor again. Food allergies, sensitivities, some vitamin deficiencies, what mother is using the medications, and also, of course, it's the genes. And what does the modern offer as a solution? Yes, excellent therapies are there. Behavioral therapies to communicate, there are therapies, educational therapies are there. The therapy for the entire family, in fact, is there. Mm, The occupational therapies, I guess, so many aspects physically, how the child also has to be strong. And managing if there are some other conditions also along with that, managing that. Medication part is a big question. Though they give medicines, none of the medicines can treat autism as such. Okay, but sometimes to reduce a hyperactivity or the child is not sleeping or something. So some people, some doctors, they do prescribe some drugs, maybe antidepressant or some some medications are there. But we must understand there is no direct medicine as such for autism in modern solution also. So what happens? The resultant of this, of the child, like what complications this child is facing is at school, getting bullied, can't understand all the teachers, what they say. So there was always going to be a struggle to successfully complete one class or one subject. So then what has happened? Like that only the child is pushed forward or something, can't work as they grow, or to live independently is a issue. Uh, Not many friends can be there for such kids. The family itself is in a big stress, how to manage. So on every front, there is a problem. There is the child has his own thing, and the parents to keep that as also, uh, to answer that child's or to come to help of that child is going to be very tough. Risk factors are what? Boys suffer more. If a family has a previous child, the second child or the third child can become. So there are just chances. These are risk factors. It need not be, it will happen. Mm. Then, if the child is born preterm or if parents are too old. So all these points are there, but research is still on, and people they just try to link it that this could be a possibility or this could be a possibility, because yeah, earlier days the marriages were early, and as soon as the girl is married, the next year probably the child. But now it's not like that. Um, Education has to finish, and education is not just a graduation. There's a post graduation. There's a specialization. Then they want work experience, and the marriage age is beyond 28 and 30, whereas earlier before 25 all the deliveries were finished, and now the first one probably would start at 32, 35, like that. So all these points are, we have to consider and think where we are going wrong, and can we go against nature. So this here we come for what we were waiting. So I just prepared so far the ground, and we are going to stick on this slide for the rest of the talk. Ayurveda has said so many things in depth. And in this slide, what we have seen, these few slides, the modern version of approaching autism, we have to consider in the modern light what Ayurveda was trying to say and which we failed to understand, what the tradition said and why we felt outdated, and our modern outlook of life or of living, why it is having a drawback. So the preparation is starting when a man and a woman has decided to have a child and when they are going to unite. So Ayurveda over here, it prescribes certain measures the woman should follow certain measures a man should follow, including celibacy of certain few months, undergoing purification therapy. So Ayurveda is one of the purification therapy, which is world famous, is the call of Panchakarma, where you give some medicine to purge, or you give certain enemas, or you instill some material. It could be oil, it could be powder, it could be some liquid in the nose. There could be emesis, like you give some material, medicine to vomit, and there's blood letting out. So these forms the five karmas. That's why it's called as panchakarma. So before a man and a woman unites, there is a Shuddhi karma. That means purificatory therapy prescribed for both of them, by which they cleanse themselves. They're maintaining the celibacy so that the seed becomes very healthy and potent. And with the intention is put to have a healthy baby. And back in India, uh, the calendar is not just by dates. The calendar has got too many things to see. Um, One of the type is like saying Panchanga. There are 5 angas on the calendar where you find a good day. We call such a thing as a muhurta. That means one auspicious time is calculated. Okay. So in earlier days, the Vaidyas, that is the Ayurveda doctors, knew some form of astronomy and astrology both. Hmm. But these days, it is not combined, and you have to have a special astrology. But if you don't know a good time or good day, these days, how they calculate is when you go to a gynecologist, your ovulation time is calculated depending upon what was your previous menstrual cycle. And in that, what would be the best time? So the gynecologists do tell what would be the best time in the modern aspect of it. Then I'm going to go a little deeper in this preparation itself. So the act of uniting is not for uh, pleasure. So, as I said, there is an intention put. So, there is a certain position also put, that how to receive the seed. So, it's going to definitely be in the mummy daddy pose itself. There are, so the way you receive the seed is also important. The time of the day or the night you receive the seed is also important. And what you do after that is also important. So now so much thought is gone in purifying the body. Celibacy is maintained, I think, for 2 to 3 months. Then this act is done. That means that seed is, it's very viable and highly, uh, we can say, very potent. So the child coming from such a purified seed is definitely going to be a healthy. Nowadays, we don't give that thought of a healthy baby. So it can be like the pregnancy just happened because of the act. Many times it is like that. And we are not sure of what time of the day or night or what kind of a mood both were there, that there was this preparation that we are. The intention is, and we are ready to have a baby. So, all this has to be well thought. After this, it doesn't finish over there. Then Ayurveda says we come to the point two, which is very crucial. It says over here in that in my presentation, I'm calling it as Garbhini Paricharya because that's the term Ayurveda is using. Garbhini means the pregnant lady. So by such a way, the lady who gets pregnant, then how she has to behave, what she has to consume, like a monthly chart it is given in details. This month, first month, this is forming. So it says Kalala, Budbuda, like how it is just like a bubble, how it is just like a jelly. Like this, the description the Shastrakaras keep giving. And for such a condition, what food has to be eaten? I'm going to come later when I'm going to talk on that lifestyle about this food aspect. And for 9 months, 9 regimen different as month by month is given. That much attention closely is given for the Garbhini, for the pregnant woman. But these days, what we see, till the last moment of the delivery, the woman is working. How are the office conditions? Need not be always pleasant and welcoming. Whatever stress of the office, the colleagues, that lady has to undergo. Whatever the travel commute has to undergo. Whatever the chores in the house has to be done before, after. So there is run. So pregnancy is on one side, but the other things just happen as normal life, and that's how it should be, is what is being told. But Ayurveda says little differently, that to be little cautious and to have a certain regimen and to slow down so that you are not in the stress and running. The body is having a different role now apart from the usual life's stress and flows. So this is one very crucial point. And in certain regimen, a third month what to do, a seventh month what to do. There are so many regimens that have been said. And traditionally back in India, you will see certain houses at seventh or eighth month. Okay, now seventh month it is. So go back to your mama's house. So she goes, and there is one big way that this pregnant lady is sent from her husband's house to her mother's house to deliver, and that's done in the seventh month. Seemantam and all such kind of names are given. There is certain reason why it happens. One point I will explain over here, because we are talking of Garbhini Paricharya. In Ayurveda, the formation of the body, why the body is there, there are 7 such factors which are called as dhatu, which gives the body the shape of what we are, which includes blood, muscles, bones, bone marrow, like that 7 things, the fat, so many things are there. These are called as dhatu. So you just remember these 7 factors that hold the body. And the important point which I have to mention over here is the essence of all these 7 tissues, the factors. You remember this term because there is no parallel term for this. The essence of these dhatus, the essence of these tissues is called as Oja. So there is no other term for this than Oja. What is Oja means? You can take it as essence of our vital tissues, you can say. This Oja, okay, Ayurveda says, means our Shastra is saying, which modern is yet to figure out what it is exactly. We will see this process now. This Oja in the 8th month, for whatever reason, travels between mother, and sometimes it is with the baby. In the 8th month, this Oja is traveling between mother and the fetus. Now, modern comes over here. We will have, if any gynecologists over there, they will definitely agree with me, and they have experience that survival of the baby in this 8th month is many times risky. And they go in eclampsia, like that. There are certain modern terms that come. And Ayurveda over here explains that who has the Oja, that survives. If the Oja is with the baby survives. If it is with the mother survives. So there is this one process in 8th month. So probably with tradition, we don't travel in 8th month. We go in 7th month. And sometimes we can go in 9th month, but not the 8th month travel. But this is why we have to be very crucial, specific, like the Garbhini Paricharya, what the Shastra is offering. This we have to understand. This Oja then stabilizes in 9th month. And this Oja is this crucial, why mother is radiant, why the baby is radiant. If you have nourished all the 7 dhatus well, then definitely the essence is going to be the best. So I always give an example of a grape juice or a mango juice that we need to do. So if we want a very good grape juice, means what we have to do? We have to put in the juicer a very good quality of grapes. If the sour grape is put, then the juice is going to be definitely sour only. Or if you have put unripe grapes, then it will not bring out the juice as it is wanted. So this oja is how you have maintained your body's elements. It's the essence of that. That only you are going to get. So if you're eating well, you're taking care that okay, certain amount of iron is going, certain amount of vitamins are going. You are taking care. Then okay, the bone tissue is going to form well, the blood tissue is going to form well, the bone marrow is going to be well. But if these are not well, then how do we expect the oja to be good? So this is one very crucial factor. And I've just highlighted that Ayurveda insists on a very good Garbhini Paricharya. That means what the pregnant lady has to do step by step for all the 9 months. Then comes the Sudika Paricharya. Sudika means now she has delivered. So before that delivery, very beautiful description comes of Sutika Gar. Like, so what does that mean? It means where the delivered mother has to deliver or stay thereafter, how her room has to be constructed and what all should be there in that room. So from those minute things, 5,000 years ago, it has been said. And what happens over here now, what we do? If we have a normal delivery from the fifth day or the sixth day or the next week, work is started. If God forbid some cesarean C-section has come, something has happened, then maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, it is is there a special thing? No, in the house, everything is eaten whichever way. So over here, Ayurveda is particularly saying Sutika Paricharya is how she should stay confined, how she should not start eating anything and whatever. The intake of her fruits, vegetables, rice, ghee should be how, what she should be doing, what oil she should apply on the body, and how the oil bath has to be given. How the hot water bath, it's not cold water bath. Everything is implied out over there. And certain kinds of jams, we call it as rasayana or lehyams, or certain kinds of medications which are fermented, which has got some alcohol percentage, how it has to be done, and how the stomach needs to be tied with a long cotton cloth, and you keep on winding that cotton cloth, they say, which is now similar to what they say, the stomach binding now they talk about. So many factors that come in the Sutika Paricharya, and many hardly do. I can see sometimes the woman has delivered, then discharged from the hospital, probably on this third day or something. And then they're out with the baby for shopping things because it's a nuclear family who is having another person in the house and they only have to do everything and they only have to take care of whatever the cooking has to be done. But this is what the problem. Our living is changing something in us. This we are not realizing. But the Shastra has told and kept what we should do in order to keep ourselves healthy. The thing is, to rush to a job could be a financial crisis. And many times you have to finish off the chore. And looking after the baby full time is not going to be possible. So somebody, if you don't have a family member, like a parent from either side, then people either they put in some daycare or leave it with the helper or something. The samskaras on the child are not actually what you want to give. It is how that person is handling. It need not be with the same love that you have, because that person would probably have to handle so many other babies too. Or the language would be the barrier. Now, living over here, we could have a help of any nationality. How much communication and what would be lovingly taught? We have to think of all these aspects. So, how we are talking, how much attention we are giving, how much we are able to breastfeed. See, the nature. And are we having, so if the Sutika Paricharya is done well, then normally the lactation is going to be good. Lot of importance in Ayurveda has given on that lactation. To have good lactation, what must be doing? What must we should be doing? So, not to neglect babies as soon as they are born. Uh, and you can't shun away the responsibility. So it's extremely delicate. So the attention is 24/7. And what happens over here? Because the Sutika Paricharya is not followed, many times this woman undergoes into her own blues. She has her own postpartum depression. She can't handle that because Vata is exponentially going high. Such as a tiny uterus, which was holding such a big baby. Now the babies come out, the uterus has to shrink back to its normalcy. All that pelvis is gone for a toss with the wind aspect. We call it the Vata aspect. When it is not treated in the way that it should be treated, this wind energy flows upwards from the pelvis and it sits in the mind. There it gets affected. Problem starts over there. That the Vata concept, no scanner is going to show. Whichever MRI you want to do, no wind will be seen under any scanner. But the fact is that it is growing. It's the Apana Vayu, which Ayurveda mentioned, because that's responsible for pushing the baby out. Now the care is not taken. We are not binding. We are not eating certain kind of food. This Vata is already high. It's not getting attention. Where it will go? It goes Tiryak. That means the normal way was downward. It's not finding a downward way. It goes upward. That's why so many complications for a woman also comes after the delivery. And that effect is seen on the baby also. So I've just mentioned few things like external oil therapies. And in my previous talks, I've spoken in an aberration why Abhyangam is so very important. Because the skin is the biggest organ in the body. And one of the place of this wind or the vata to stay is skin. There are so many places for vata. I can chant a Sanskrit verse if I'm. So it says Pakvashaya Kati Sakti. Pakvashaya means your large intestine. Kati means waist. Kati Sakti. Sakti means the thighs. Pakvashaya Kati Sakti. Shrotra. Shrotra means ears. Shrotrasthi. Asthi means bones. Sparshanendriyam. That means skin. Sparshanendriyam. Sthanam vatasya tatrapi. Means even if these are the places of vata, pakvadhana visheshata, the large intestine or the pelvis is particularly a place for vayu. That's why post-delivery, certain regimen means you are pushing the vayu downwards and it's not aggravating. But now if you have not done that, then you use the skin, which is the biggest organ, to calm the wind down. So oil therapies, postpartum, both for mother and baby are very important. Then there are internal medication, and this is going to be the crux of Ayurveda, which I'm not going to say the medicine names or anything, but today's talk to say what Ayurveda has said on that. Ayurveda has told to give treatment called Ghrita Chikitsa. Ghrita Chikitsa. Ghrita means ghee. Chikitsa is treatment. There is no medicine in the world which you can give to reach the brain. There is no medicine. To reach my stomach, I can have medicine. To reach the brain, there is no medicine. Because the blood-brain barrier, it cannot pass through that. 5,000 years ago, Ayurveda is highlighting Hrida Chikitsa. Whatever medicine you want to give it through the ghee. So there are innumerable medicated ghee available told in Ayurveda for different conditions. Now the science says through fats. So the fats can travel or break through the blood-brain barrier. How is this? Amazing discovery. And we are already saying this, that Hrita Chikitsa. So what kind of a ghee? Medicated ghee. Hmm? Um, Example, like, because you might be all familiar with words like Brahmi and all, I can use such words. But certain, like these kind of herbs, they're treated in a certain method. There's a portion of 1 is to 4 is to 8 is to 16, like that. So if whatever medicine you have to do, if you have made a paste out of it, it's one part. Then 4 times it is the decoction of a certain another herb. Then 8 times of it is the ghee. And 16 times of it is the water or other material. And then you cook that ghee in a certain format. And you evaporate everything and make the medicated ghee. So there are certain procedures that have been said. It's not just simply random. And each of this, what I'm highlighting, is a different science in Ayurveda. Means now this part of making medicine is called as Bhaishajya Shastra. The other part I have said it's a Chikitsa Shastra. The other thing which I have said is that Sutika, So Stree Roga. So the faculties that Ayurveda has dealt in such great detail. So now we are seeing in this aspect. So in today's world, we say we don't want ghee. And here is the thing where Ayurveda insists on having ghee. And then people say, oh, but I'm lactose intolerant. What to do? So there is no relation. Even if you're lactose intolerant, you can have ghee. It is samskara, means there is so much of treatment gone on that milk to get the ghee that there is no trace of that milk quality into it at all. So this is one thought to ponder, because I know I had to finish it about 10 minutes ago to accommodate the questions. And I'll touch a little bit on diet and a little bit on lifestyle. And I'll give you, there are so many examples, but I'll give you 2 examples. The diet aspect in Ayurveda uh, is completely different than how we are trained to see now the things. We have got several diets, and we think it is healthy, but it is not. We eat something called as Sankirana Bhojan. That means mix anything and everything that is healthy into one and have. So it could be smoothie. Oh, I put this seed, this fruit, this yogurt, whatever. Ayurveda says this is all not so very good. Or, okay, this grain is good, that grain is good. Then you have multi-grain flour, atta to make whatever your chapatis, rotis, or breads. So Ayurveda doesn't encourage this multi-grain, multi thing and your smoothies or juices and things like that. So the concept of diet is different in Ayurveda. This I have to highlight. It doesn't insist that so much protein you should have and just avoid carb completely. No, there is a proportion. And you need everything for the body. You can't exclusively have only one particular thing in abundance and one size fits all, and everybody does the same thing. No, in conditions like now, this is a pregnancy condition or post-delivery condition, or this is for the baby, this is for the lactation. The things have to change. Throughout the pregnancy, which I said I'm going to talk a little later, the highlight of drinking milk and ghee is continuous. None of the ladies want to have milk and ghee. They'll always talk about the weight. So this again a point to ponder where we are going wrong. And this lifestyle thing is a really very scary thing that we are having now. Our day doesn't finish early, neither it starts very early. We are comfortable not to get up early, and like a demonic actions, we can eat late night also, stay awake late night also. So something we have to think on this aspect. Now, coming back where the genes are getting muted, it's with our diet and lifestyle. So, a point to ponder is Uh, the baby which was looking healthy earlier, how does it acquire? Uh, so now probably the answers are coming to your mind. And in the first 2 months, 3 months, we cannot. So somebody had asked question, which I'm going to attend. So up till 6 months, probably nothing is seen. And then slowly it begins to reveal. And probably up to 3 years, we can say that it can manifest and we can detect, or we can still find changes. And suddenly the changes are seen. Means what food you're feeding, breast milk or the tinned thing, saying, oh, this is a formula milk. And so earlier in that, Balopachara is also there, how to raise the baby. And there are certain samskaras that when the baby has to be given actually the solid food. So it takes about 6 months for a baby to actually eat something outside. Till then, at least mother's milk should be there. And if I have to sustain that, then how I should improve my lactation should be questioned. How much milk or ghee or medication? So you really need a very good Ayurveda doctor to go to through you these traditional practices, because now we need to see this confusing disease which is in rise, and everybody is getting puzzled why so many kids are there. This is the time to question, where is our diet, where is our lifestyle, what are we doing these days, and how we can purify our actions. So I think I'm going to leave it at this for now and take the questions. um, let's see, I've got few questions first. I think I've answered the first one. At what age does autism appear? It's varied in different people, different kids, and different times it is shown. So it can go even later also as 3 years, and it can be seen as small as 6 months also. Is it normal for a 2-year-old not talking? No, it is actually not normal. So there is a delayed speech that is happening. And it all depends upon how much we talk to the child or tell the stories. And with our nuclear families, where grandparents are not around, we are not surrounded by the relatives, it is a problematic thing. What natural herb is good for autism? As I said, there is no medicine that would reach the brain. And say, so all any medicines that we need to do is we have to give it through the ghee aspect for the brain, I'm saying. For other things, the child's gut is not okay, this is not okay, immunity is not okay. For all that, the physical medicines we can give. Can turmeric help autism? It's not standalone turmeric. This is what happens when we say something is good, we take it as a standard for all children. And one thing is not going to fit everybody. So we'll have to take that in a context. I'm still yet to give you two examples, which I have to say. Can you test for autism in womb? No, we cannot. We cannot test that in womb. And grateful to you, Dr. Varsha, for offering the Ayurvedic perspective, and it is possible. Is there a resource for a modern nuclear family to rely on to understand the principles of preconception, Garbhini Paricharya, Sudika Paricharya, as per authentic Ayurvedic treaties? Online material these days are suiting the Western aspect, and they lack the Shastric aspect. The Shastra means the Ayurveda original words, I mean. Why is that necessary? Because original Ayurveda words, if we follow, we will actually get what it is. Um, what is the Shastra trying to tell us? But if we read the translations, then it is to suit that society, that person, to become popular and not because see, now if I've talked like that, then I've put off probably most of people, but I'll have to forget my popularity retention, and I'll have to just deliver what the Shastra says. Then it is up to the person whether they like or not. So it's not for pleasing, but uh, it is to just convey that such a thing exists. So now, because I have said that, this question has come where I can read that, which is a very good thought. So we'll have to see if the original text in archives, many people sometimes they upload the whole textbooks. So we will have to just see whether Internet archives have the original texts. Kashyap Samhita and all, they deal with the kids issue very nicely. Charakas and all, they are really beautiful for all these Garbhini Paricharya. Okay, some more. Do children of autistic spare lack empathy, or it comes at the cost of their overwhelm, and thus they avoid socializing? Um, they lack empathy. Yeah, people don't have patience, right? Sometimes parents also get fed up, isn't it? You really have to be uh, overflowing with love, um, and keep on interacting them with them, and you will see the change. And I'm going to give my two examples, which I have to say I'm still, and then comes at the cost of overwhelm and thus avoid socializing. Okay, now I'm going to give you two examples, uh, two real-time examples. One, one nurse who was working over here, uh, who's still working, and for her child, was normal till about 6 months, and suddenly something changes happen. And because she's a nurse, she suspected that this could be autistic or something. She goes back to India, southern India, Kerala, and she sees the doctor over there. And then the confirmation is coming that yes, it's going to be under spectrum. Then the consultation is going on. The doctor this is trying to find out what is happening, what is this and all, and everything is. Then suddenly the grandparent who was sitting behind during a consultation says that um, the child to eat cannot eat without the mobile phone. So this mother to feed has been keeping the mobile phone and feeds the child. This child was born preterm, and the mother had a concern that, oh, she has to make somehow the child fat and plumpy and healthy. So she is keeping on feeding. To eat more than the distraction used is the screen. The way I'm so happy that doctor scolded her that being a nurse, how you didn't understand. And she made her completely stop. Let the child throw the tantrum, whatever it has to, but don't give the mobile phone while eating. She stopped gladly. She didn't, cave into the child's demand. And you wouldn't believe, uh, it took 18 months for the symptoms to change. And today the child is 4 year old, completely normal, hale and hearty. With 6 months to 1.5 year, the suffering was there, the damage was done. And this is a real example. Another real example, which I have heard from the mother, but I have not seen, but from the mother's explanation, one Danish lady, when out of her 5 children, when she found out one child is coming under spectrum, she didn't leave any stone unturned. She changed the place and she changed the diet and lifestyle completely. So no processed food and no carbs and the unhealthy, which normally we think healthy. She became so watchful, she became so researched, and she just catered that child. And today the child is normal, a teenager. So back coming to this thing that that compassion, that overwhelming or empathy, or uh, we'll have to give complete attention to children. We'll have to see that we are there, and we are there to provide healthy stuff. The ingesting through the sense organs, which I'm from the Chandogya Upanishad, it is so very apt that it's not just what you eat. Processed food. Today morning's example I'll give. Um, the this lady, it's not under the autistic thing. This lady, she was thinking it's healthy to have milkshakes, smoothies, fruits mixed with milk. So in the last visit, I had said, no, you need to correct that. That is an incompatible food. So she comes today. She says, okay, I have changed it. Everybody in the family has changed it. But my younger one is not listening for that. Her question is, explain me why. Why? Then, so for her, I told the doctor has said so. I said, okay, this is milk has a certain kind of, we call it virya. That means certain kind of potency and certain kind of vipaka, that means after digestion what is the effect on the body, and fruit has a certain kind of a potency and the after effect with the digestion on the body. So these two don't combine, the madhura vipaka and the amla vipaka, we said that means the sweet after effect and the sour after effect, means after digestion what remains in the body, the effect on the body. So that goes incompatible. So the Shastrakaras have said that that is an incompatible food. You can't mix fruit. And she said, okay, then can I mix fruits with almond milk? Was a bad question because the younger child is asking question, not ready to leave this. So ordinarily, you should say yes for that. Okay, you mix almond milk because it's not the cow milk. But the answer was still no. The answer was no at two different levels. That we are fooling ourselves by calling almond milk, soy milk, whatever milk as milk. Those are basically those paste made out of it with more water. And top of that, they've been processed and kept in such a way that they don't spoil. So, first of all, it's not a milk. And we will fool ourselves by calling it's not from the mammary gland. What is there of the milk then? The paste of the almond with lot of water. The second thing is, do we need so much packaged food? So something that has so much of shelf life, how can it say it's not processed? So at all levels, especially if we have a child under spectrum, we have to be minutely dissecting our shelf is carrying what all things that are processed. And we have to take it all out to reverse this whole thing. Because if it is only epigenetic level, the DNA has not changed, but it is only expressing it in a different way, we can bring back and get back our child in a normal condition. Why wait till it completely mutates? Why make it impossible and incurable? So these are my personal thoughts by putting on the Shastra that this could be the possibility, and the examples that I see around me, like how, like in this case of this Danish lady who narrated her experience, or this nurse, or there are certain cases which I have dealt. There's another example which I have to give. A spiritual fallback has to be strong. Spiritual fallback is not fanatic fallback, not fanatism. Universal spirituality, what we adopt. Hmm? Now, in this particular one case, I have to say, in 2014-15, the boy came and he never sat on the consultation chair, table, anywhere. The moment mother would bring him in, he would run under my examination table in the corner where I would not be able to see him. He would not like me to touch. He will not show his face. Whole day hand, sit under the corner, go and hide, 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 hide. It took a while. It took a while. Now this child participates in Bhagavad Gita chanting competition, facing the world, facing the public, and the pronunciation has become clear. So this is another example. Means I have got so many different examples, and each case is on a different aspect that we can, if we determine the change, but that inconvenience we don't like to leave. No, my comfort zone, how much attention I can give on the child. Yes, you have to give 100% attention because you will get back your child normal if it is in just the way the gene is expressing differently. By changing our diet, our lifestyle, making it completely back to the natural ways, this is indeed a possible thing. Any more questions? I think I have answered most of the questions. Is anything remaining? If no more questions are coming in, may I end the session? Okay. Could one look at autism as coping mechanism in a dominantly toxic culture? Exactly. Yeah, it is because we are. That's the environmental factor. No, we are changing. We are changing the DNA. So we have to be careful on that aspect. Nevertheless, I thank you all for joining this evening, listening patiently for so long. We've exceeded the time by 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Let me end today's session again with a universal prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. May all be happy. Sarve Bhavantu Niramayaha. May all be disease free. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyamtu. May all see only auspiciousness. Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. May no one have a sorrow. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let there be peace in me, around me, and at the spiritual level. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Varsha. Thank you, everybody.